So I am obviously doing this during the day right now. It is 4 in the afternoon. And I'm doing this now because tonight I am going out to watch Iron Lung. I'm so excited to watch it. So I'll be at the theater tonight. I clearly won't have time to do this tonight. So that's why I'm doing this now. It being 4 p.m. right now, you will see the lighting gradually go down. You will see the lighting gradually go darker to the point where I will probably have to stand up and turn on the light. So yeah, I won't be able to do this tonight, so that's why I'm doing this now. I also took the liberty of wiping down my screen before doing this, just so it looks less gross. Look how shiny and reflective my screen is. So the usual, I will be here until 6 p.m. because I started at 4. I'll do this for 2 hours. And then 6 p.m., it's time for me to get up and start preparing dinner. Which actually, hold on. Let me do that. That didn't screw up anything, did it? Okay. Nope, we're good. In this lighting, you can especially see it's literally just my phone. Then again, I've done these in this lighting before. Anyways, so yeah. Tonight I'll be going to see Iron Lung. I'm going at 10. I could have gone, there was like a 6 o'clock screening. Yeah, but then that probably wouldn't leave me time to do this. Because let's say, well actually I could squeak by if I chose to, but I already bought the ticket for 10 p.m. Ticket was only like $7. I'm going alone to the theater tonight because how dare my friends have lives and plans. No, I'm joking. Like, actually, I'm going alone. Which, like, so what? What's the big deal? I'm going to the theater by myself. It's not like we're gonna be chatting or hanging out while the movie's playing, right? At the very most, we'll just briefly discuss the film after it's done, and then we all go home. Right? Given that I'm going to the 10 p.m. screening, it's not like we're going to meet up beforehand. I mean, we could, if anyone was available. We could have grabbed dinner first, but yeah, that's not happening. And then after the film, it's like, well, by that point, it's already past midnight. So it's not like we're gonna exactly hang out or anything. So yeah, I'm just gonna go watch it alone. And you know what else? So, I've been seeing online. I also, I've caught up with Garden of Banban. I watched Markiplier play Garden of Banban 0 first, before I watched him play Garden of Banban 8. Which, by whatever cosmic power made me do that, good thing I did, because the game that came after 8, which is 0, kind of leads up to the events of 8. So for whatever reason, I decided to watch Garden of Banban 0 before Garden of Banban 8, and it actually worked out in my favor. Who knew? So yeah, speaking of Markiplier and Iron Lung, during Markiplier's stream playing Garden of Banban 0, he's been saying not only is Iron Lung the #1 movie in America as of the time he played it, he's also said that a lot of other film studios are trying to hit him up. And then there's also news articles online saying like these sort of indie films are really making Hollywood sweat, given how popular and successful Iron Lung is. Like, how are you gonna compete with that, Disney? Warner Brothers? So yeah, I'm on my way to watch Iron Lung tonight. And obviously I'll go over the film next time, so stay tuned for that. I'm assuming y'all already played the game, or know about the game. For a second, my eyes were deceiving me and I thought that was shiny. Clearly not. Alright, so before we get into the shows, because I kind of had to speed run through the shows today in order to be able to talk about them right now during the daytime. Let me first talk about, so yesterday I was so mad. Yesterday I was absolutely furious with my family, but I didn't make a big stinker about it. So yesterday was Monday, which is also why I really wanted to go watch Iron Lung today on Tuesday, because tickets are cheaper Tuesday, hence why I paid only like $7 for the movie ticket. And just a little side note, we all know that theaters, there are options for general, and I think for my area, or maybe this is universal, general ages are like 14 to 64. And then anything above or below that is either child or senior, and those get cheaper prices. Well, what's stopping someone purchasing a ticket online and choosing those options? What's stopping me from purchasing the senior ticket for a cheaper price? Because unless the person working at the theater really wants to get technical with it, you know, they're going to scan the ticket and be like, all right, auditorium 8, enjoy. You know, I doubt they're going to really look into detail. They're going to look at the ticket like, hey, this is a senior citizen ticket. You're not a senior citizen. I can't let you in. I gotta call my manager for this. So yeah, it's like, you're not buying the ticket in person anymore at the theater. You still can, but majority of people are buying tickets online. So like, what's stopping me from buying either a child or senior ticket for cheaper and just going to the theater, right? Like, the chances of the person working at the theater scanning the tickets is just gonna let you in anyways. I'm not gonna lie, if I was working at that job, I would. I'm not gonna make a big stinker about it. It's like, alright, I see you. You're trying to save some money and enjoy some absolute cinema. By all means. But that's all besides the point. So anyways, yesterday I was so furious with my family. So yesterday was Monday, and you already know Mondays I need to wake up early. And I already deal with a lot of bullshit from my family. So, yesterday, I got up at 7 to make it to 9 o'clock. I was like 5 minutes late, but that's fine. And then, you know, once I was done my 9 to 12 part-time shift, I had to go back to the family store, and from there, I was there for like 12:30 to 6:30. So I got up at 7, and I had to be out until 6:30, and then by the time I got home, it was 7 again. And, well, I don't know what happened to me near the end of work, like around the 6:10 mark. I started shaking, I started sweating profusely. Now, it's not the first time this has happened. You know, it actually happens to my mom all the time when she doesn't eat. So, yeah, around the 6 o'clock, 6:10 p.m. mark, I started sweating profusely, I started shaking, so I started eating. There was a little dinner roll bun in the mini fridge at work, so I just ate that, but that was not enough. So I looked around the store for anything, and dead ass, there was like nothing to eat. Until I found a box of little literal crackers, a box of like saltine crackers, which I remember Me. I bought them. Like a year ago. I remember I bought those crackers a long time ago. And I know I was the one who bought them because I bought the off-brand ones because they were a little cheaper. I don't remember how long ago I bought that, but I know it had to have been like a year ago. But I don't care. I scarfed those down so fast. Obviously, I needed water with me. And maybe because I was absolutely hungry to the point I was sweating and shaking. Man, those saltine crackers never tasted better in my whole life. I don't normally go out of my way for crackers, and you know what? You know those cheese Ritz crackers? I like cheese, but I don't hate those. I also don't love them. Like, I will never go out of my way to buy them. And if they are there as a snack offering, it's like, I'd really prefer anything else. But if I have to, fine, I'll eat them. Like, I'm not a huge fan of cheese Ritz crackers. But yeah, yesterday, near the end of work, I was just scarfing down whatever I can just to try to get myself more comfortable. Like, I was ready too. I started feeling not great. So I started packing up, I started changing clothes, like putting on my winter jacket and whatnot. And I was just like, I can't take this anymore. Either I'm too hungry or I'm too exhausted because I've been up since 7 in the morning. I'm about to go. But I didn't. I stayed the extra like 20 minutes until we closed at 6:30. And maybe it was because I was scarfing down the food, rapid fire. Damn, once I started feeling better, once I stopped sweating, my stomach started feeling like not great. Not a stomach ache, but it just felt like not necessarily a cramp. I don't know, indigestion, whatever. My stomach just felt off. So, I was thinking to myself, you are exhausted, you ate something to the point you feel better. When I get home, I'm going to bed. I'm going to take a nap. I'm going to rest. They should be able to handle everything, right? My mom can cook dinner. Ain't a damn soul going to help her. But, you know, she can handle it. I'm just going to go to bed. Keep in mind, too, my sister took yesterday off just because her husband had yesterday off. And you know her. Whenever his day is off, she'll take it off. Which is why the bullshit I deal with on Mondays, I wake up early, and nope, don't get to go home and rest. So anyways, here's why I was so mad at my family. So when I got home, I changed, I washed my face, I went to bed. I was in bed, lights were off, my door was closed, I was lying in bed trying to fall asleep. Whether I fall asleep and then I get woken up to eat dinner, or I don't eat dinner, and whenever I wake up, then I come down to eat. Whatever. After work, I came home, I was in bed, lights were off, my door was closed, I was trying to fall asleep. Because I've been awake since 7 in the morning. As I began to doze off, my sister just barges in. Doesn't even knock, doesn't do anything. Just opens the door and tells me, Mom needs your help to cook, so come downstairs. I was so mad. So, my mom, normally I help my mom cook dinner. The two of us cook dinner together. But occasion, you know, sometimes I don't help. And my mom is more than capable of handling it. Like, there's so many reasons why I was pissed off about this. One, I'm trying to fall asleep, my door was closed, my lights were off, and you just walked right in and shouted at me, come downstairs, Mom needs your help to cook. Like, no consideration. Not even a knock on the door. 2, my sister was home all day. She probably napped in the afternoon. Now, she may not have a damn cooking bone in her body. She may not know how to help my mom. But she very well could have helped, right? it's not that hard to cook, especially if you're not even doing the cooking, if you're just preparing. And I've explained this so many times in the past. Since when does a closed door mean come in? Please, come on in. I beg you. I want you to barge right in, despite my door being closed. So I was so furious. I'm trying to rest, and yet I was already in bed. Lights off, door closed, I was already in bed. And my sister just barges right in to tell me to go down and help my mom. The reason my mom asked for my help is because she said her foot was hurting. Now, I know you're gonna make the argument, your poor mother has to work and then has to come home to cook for the rest of the family, and her poor foot is hurting. The least you can do is help her. And yeah, you're right. You're right, I could. And I already do. I help her cook every night, all the time. The one time I'm trying to rest before dinner. Nope. So anyways, I was so angry, because like I keep saying, I was already in bed, lights off, door closed. So I was so angry. I was just about to fall asleep too. So I stomped my way downstairs, and I told them too, I was trying to rest. I've been up since 7. My door was closed. I was already in bed. And of course, I'm at fault, because would you believe my mom got mad at me for being so upset from being asked for just a little bit of assistance. Like, she was mad that I was mad, as if, like, what do you have to be mad at? What possible reason could you be so upset about? All I asked was a little bit of help from you. Yep, I'm the one at fault there. So anyways, after I did just the tiniest bit of help, I seasoned the meat, and then I just went back to bed. And then I already knew, god damn it, I hop back into bed, I'm not gonna sleep. I'm not going to sleep. Because dinner will be ready soon, they're going to call me to come down and eat. So, at this point, I shouldn't even bother going back to bed, because I'm not gonna fall asleep, and if I do, they're just gonna call me downstairs to eat. But I went back to bed anyways to try my damnedest to fall back asleep. And of course, I took precautions this time. So this time, lights off, door closed, and I locked my door. And guess what? Had I not locked my door, my dad would have just come in anyways. Because I heard my dad walk by. I even heard the doorknob jiggle. Like, he tried to open the door, but realized it was locked. Two instances in a row, in the same night. My door was closed, my lights were off. You would think that does not mean come in. My door was closed. But no, 2 separate instances, back to back on the same night. Had I not locked my door, my dad would have just came right in. No knock on the door, nothing. Just a closed door means, yeah, I'm gonna go in there. As your father, I'm asserting my dominance, and I'm coming in anyways. And I've already explained this before. My family, well, mostly my dad does not like locked doors in the house. Because if there's ever an emergency, he can quickly come in, warn us, grab us, whatever. If there's ever an emergency, then a locked door is an obstacle. But, like, emergencies don't happen that often. Yes, it's good to be prepared, but, like, I'm trying to fall asleep and you people keep bothering me. And you proved my point right there. Had I not locked the door, you would have just came right in. So anyways, dinner time. Well, no rest for me. So I was super upset. I'm exhausted. I tried to fall asleep twice before dinner. Nope. Nope. These lunatics I live with. Yeah, that's not allowed. So I came down, I was very upset at the dinner table, and my family was just like, what are you so upset about? Just go rest after dinner. Just go to bed early. The fact that they flat out are unaware of what they did, you know, just barge right in on a closed door as I'm trying to rest. And, you know, I'm not even gonna bother yelling at them or arguing with them because, one, my sister's husband was sitting right there. I didn't want to make a whole scene with him just sitting there. And two, what's even the point anymore? I complain to them, I yell at them, they don't give a damn about me. They don't give two shits about what I feel, how I think. They don't care. They leave me alone at work while they all get to go home. They don't care. I have to be the one to be a gentleman and let them use the TV, while they physically get mad at me for even thinking about using the TV. Like, they don't care about me. They don't give a damn about my opinion, my feelings. They don't give a shit. So why even bother anymore? I yell at them, I complain to them, doesn't change anything. Why do you think I don't hang out with them? I don't talk to them. I don't sit with them during watching shows or what have you. I don't do anything with them. Why bother anymore? And I've already explained this in the past. No, despite how tired I am, no matter how exhausted I am, I try to sleep early. It never works. I toss and turn. It never works if I try to go to sleep early, regardless of if I need to wake up early or if I'm very exhausted. It never works. Anyway, so yesterday, I went to sleep at 11 p.m. I don't know how long it took me to fall asleep, but then I woke up. Just judging by the darkness outside, I was thinking like, alright, it's probably like 4 a.m. I checked the time. No, it's around 6 a.m. Well, that was yesterday. This morning, my family and I, we once again went to the Chinese temple to pray for Chinese New Year. What a goddamn waste of my time. Nowadays, when I go there, I don't even bother praying for anything anymore. Like, what's the point? Even if I ask for something, nothing ever happens, so like, what's even the point anymore? I go just out of obligation that my whole family makes me go. But when I go, I don't even ask for anything anymore. In the past, I asked for the bare minimum. I asked for my family's good health, good fortune. I asked for my dogs to have a good afterlife. Like, that's it. I asked for the bare minimum. And, well, now I don't even pray for anything anymore. Which, you know, yesterday night I did have a dream. I dreamt both Billy and Toby were together with Sky. Like, all three of them were together. You know, that was a nice dream. You know, Sky never did get to meet his older brother. He was gone before Sky was even born. So, it was a nice dream while it lasted, all three of them together. Anyway, so, yep, this morning, family went to the Chinese temple to pray. And, to my surprise, first of all, some guy came out just screaming at everyone, and I didn't understand a goddamn word he said, because he was speaking in Mandarin. I almost said, like, what? What? What'd you just say to me? But I just stayed silent, because, you know, I'm on sacred ground, so I just stayed silent. And no matter how many faces I gave him, it took him quite a while to finally get the message, I don't know what you're saying. So he's just like, closed, not open, closed. It's like, that's all you had to say, man. So the temple, like at least the inside of the building, was closed. There were still statues and whatnot outside, right? So we were able to pray to that. My family prayed at the door, because the windows, they were able to see in, so they were praying there. And I just stood there. I wasn't about to do anything. If anything, I was just really hoping to get inside, because I really needed to use the bathroom. But great, that guy's saying, it's closed today. It's like, great, do I get to go home now? What a waste of my time. But afterwards, we went for breakfast, and then here I am, back home. I watched Monarch and Wonder Man, ate lunch, and now here I am, doing this. Yeah, I was so furious at my family yesterday. This isn't even the first time my sister has barged in, just let herself in, while my door was closed, my lights were off, and I'm trying to sleep. She just doesn't care. No knock at the door, no consideration, nothing. She just lets herself in and just yells at me, get up! You're needed! And yet, you know, you don't see me doing the same thing to her. I really want to. Because you know my sister is quite a lazy pig. In the morning, she doesn't wake up. She comes to work at like 1 in the afternoon. Despite me, I wake up and I get there by 11:30. You don't see me just barging into her room in the morning, screaming like, wake up! Wake up, sister! You don't care if I get woken up. I don't care. I'm only doing the same thing to you. Wake up right now. If I did that, she would stomp out of bed furiously like, how dare you disturb my sleep? I really want to do that, but I'm not going to. You know what's another thing I really want to do, but I'm not going to, only because I would get even more trouble if I did this? Man. Especially because this is the second time, well, you know, not the first time my sister has done this, barged in as I'm trying to rest. I really wanted to hit her. I wanted to slap her so badly. Just like when she yells at me, gets mad at me for using the TV, I want to hit her so badly. Given her frail, bony body, the way I hit her, she would probably be sent flying across the room. You would think I'm a Viltrumite with my strength. If you saw the way I would slap her across the face. Like, literally, if I slapped her, and believe me, I would use all my strength. If I slapped her across the face, she would literally go flying across the room. But I'm not gonna do that. I'm just not going to. I want to, but I'm not going to. And you know, yeah, my family physically, genuinely get upset, get actually furious at me for daring to use the TV. But there are occasions, there are instances where they have nothing to watch and they're just like, you can put on one of your shows only because we have nothing to watch. We're allowing you to use the TV. And you know what? I refuse. Because I'm just thinking, why? So you can get mad at me for using the TV again? No, thank you. And then my sister will get mad. She will get mad at me for rejecting her offer. So it's like, you get mad at me for using the TV. You get mad at me for not using the TV. Is there any winning with you? Anyway, so that's enough of me babbling and bitching about my life, first world problems, things that in the long run don't matter. Just suck it up and be the family bitch. Whatever. Let me drink some water and then let's get started talking about these shows. You know, I saw a reel on Instagram earlier today. It was obviously a skit. And I'm going to assume it was in Hong Kong. It was like some Hong Kong people doing this skit. It was two girls just walking around in the mall. One of the girls saying, "Hey, that guy's really cute. He's my type. Oh, I really want to talk to him." And then the second girl just goes up to the guy's face like, "Hey, you, my friend, right there, pointing to her face. She thinks you're really cute. She wants to talk to you and get to know you. Her, my friend right here, her, right here. The one hiding in the corner all embarrassed? Yeah, her." Man, that skit was a damn lie. That stuff don't happen in real life. It really don't happen. So I did see, literally just like almost 3 hours ago, as of me doing this, around 3 hours ago, the trailer for Monarch Legacy of Monsters Season 2 came out. I didn't watch it yet, given the fact that I'm not even done Season 1. So I'll check out the trailer after I'm done watching the show. So today we will be talking about episode 4. Yes, pretty sure. Yeah, episode 4. Episode 4 of Monarch Legacy Monsters, as well as episode 2 of Wonder Man. I'm not really feeling Wonder Man just yet. I'm only 2 episodes in, so we'll see. People are saying it's one of the best Marvel projects ever, or at least shows-wise, television program-wise, episodic-wise. I'm only 2 episodes in, and I don't know if I would say that. Not yet. So, I'm gonna hold off, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not reservations, it's judgments. I'm gonna hold off judgments until I see more of the show. You know what? It also snowed earlier today. Not that much. A little bit of snow. But that's a sign that winter's not over yet. Alright, so episode 4 of Monarch Legacy of Monsters. We open up in present day 2015 in, I think it was Utah. We see a woman sunbathing, but then she starts to get this sixth sense that something is off. You know, there's no earth shaking, there's no radiation, no loud noise, but she gets the sense that something's off. She goes into her little, like, makeshift portable trailer and sees this, like, old-timey tech beeping. And she's just like, holy shit, I gotta report this to the rest of Monarch. Alright, so this episode, there are no flashbacks. At least not all the way back to the 50s. We do get flashbacks in this episode, but only to 1 year prior, where we follow Kentaro and him meeting May. So there is no 1950s flashback in this episode, surprisingly, since there were in the first 3 episodes. So no young Lee Shaw, no Bill Randa, and no Keiko in this episode. Anyway, so I'm not going to jump back and forth between... Well, maybe I should. It's kind of hard for this episode, since the flashbacks kind of tie back into present day. I mean, obviously. Whatever. So in the flashbacks, we see 1 year ago, so this would be 2014. Yeah, it's not specified if this was before or after G-Day. So 1 year ago, we see Kentaro. He is about to have an exhibit for his art pieces. He was an artist. He created arts, and he was about to have a gallery showcase or whatnot. But he's struggling to find the right words to say, because, you know, according to, was it Kimmy? His boss at the time or whatever? You know, people buy the art, and then the artist. So Kentaro needs to come up with the right things to say. And hey, Kentaro's mom also stopped by for moral support. His dad was going to be there too. Hiroshi was going to be there. According to his mom, he was going to come straight from the airport. But it kind of sounds like that wasn't the case. I don't know, like... if you want to piece it all together, maybe this is after G-Day. Because remember, in the previous episode, we learned 5 days after G-Day, Hiroshi was in a big hurry to leave. He even left Kate and Kate's mother behind. Was he in a rush to fly back to Japan because he had to attend his son's art gallery? That'd be hilarious. No, he didn't leave in a hurry because of something relating to Monarch. No, he was supposed to fly back to Japan. We don't know yet. That might be the case, but that sounds mad stupid. You know, it's pretty underwhelming. And is Alaska en route from California to Japan? I guess it depends which direction you're going in. So anyways, yeah, Kentaro, he needs to walk out and think about something first, like think about what to say. Get some air. He tries to take a picture of his own poster for the art exhibit, and May just walks by right on time for the shot. So she's just like, did you just take my picture? No. And I gotta say, damn, Kentaro is smooth. He has more riz than I do, because he's able to smooth talk his way with May. So we see how they met. Kentaro is just like, you know what, the exhibit, it can wait. It's building suspense. How about you and me, we go for a drink, because May really likes whiskey. Expensive whiskey. So Kentaro offers to bring her to a place that he knows about. We see later on in the episode another flashback that Kentaro, first of all, brings May to this, like, rundown looking, not necessarily alleyway, but you know how tight Japan is. Kentaro knows the owner there, so he tries to get in, but then the owner, playing a joke on him, is just like, password. It's me, Kentaro, password. And May just isn't having it because, you know, she doesn't know this guy and he just led her to somewhere who knows where. So she's just like, all right, I'm gonna leave. This place is a dump. It's a dump! And then they're let in. It turns out that inside is a very fancy, very luxurious bar that Kentaro designed the lighting for. Ooh, Riz. so much riz and aura coming off of this guy. You know, he even is like, I know this is the bar owner, the manager. I helped design the lights here, so he acts like, you know, I have a voice here. Ooh, the riz. Anyways, blah, blah, blah. Later on, Kentaro takes her back to his art studio, where there's a bunch of, like, reject art pieces. And then skipping forward, it seems like Kentaro just didn't show up to his own art exhibit at all. At least not until super late. Because we see later on in the episode, the two of them actually had, like, basically a one-night stand. They did do the deed. You know, sex. And then after that, Kentaro goes back. He offers Mei to go back with her to the exhibit. But she's just like, nah, that's not my crowd. They do exchange contacts, though, so that's nice. Just as Mei was handing her phone for Kentaro to put his number into, she gets a call from someone. We've seen in previous episodes Mei in call with someone, but we don't know who that is just yet. And call me crazy, Kentaro's little art studio didn't look that big. And yet they were able to do the deed on a futon on the floor. I don't know, I suppose there's more space than we get to see. Anyway, so that's majority of the flashback. We see how Kentaro and Mei first met. But we'll go back to that later on. Also, Kentaro's art is just like really freaky, almost like puppet combo, polygon looking face. Like, he has these face displays that can project the faces of a ton of people. And it's very eerie, very unsettling. Well, we'll come back to that later. So, in present day, you know, they're stranded in Alaska and they're running away from the giant creature, the Titan they call it. The Titan that looks like the tentacle monster in Invincible. It actually really does. So, Duho is sadly dead. Senior, Lee Shaw, Kate, and Mei, they try to run away, but Kentaro, he has an idea. And he risks his life. He jumps for the flare, tries to shoot it, and just by a stroke of luck, the creature, the Titan, actually goes for the flare. So they run away. As they're running away, cut to opening sequence. And then back to present day, they found a cave to hide in. But they need to be quiet, because the monster is on top of them somehow. So they found an underground cave to hide in. Because this is a big creature, the Titan, as it stomps around, it kind of weakens the ice they're standing on. So Mei, what she's standing on, it breaks, and then Mei's leg dips into some freezing ice water. So now her leg is wet, it's super cold, and, you know, it's Alaska, it's cold out. So if untreated, she could catch hypothermia, frostbite, or worse, it could lead to her death. So they need to find a way to help out Mei. So the plane's gone. They're kind of stranded in Alaska. What do? And one of them is potentially dying from hypothermia. What are they going to do? Lee suggests they go whatever direction that he said, like southwest or whatever. Like, he suggested to go in a direction because there's chances of people there that can help. But Kentaro claims that he saw something off in the distance. Some sort of, like, maybe building structure. But no one else saw it. Only Kentaro saw it. So we see them. They decide to go to higher ground to try to see if they can spot anything. So, by the looks of it, they climbed all the way up I don't know if it's a mountain, but they did climb pretty high up, which must have taken a lot of energy and a lot of time, because by the time that they reached the peak, it's already almost dark. Kentaro is set on going to where he thinks he saw what it was. Was that even a proper sentence? Kentaro is set on going to where he thinks he saw something. But then all our other characters, including Kentaro himself, they see this, like, blue glow off in the distance. They don't know what it is, but it's better than nothing. So our characters, they want to go towards that blue glow, but Kentaro is set on going towards what he thinks he saw. So Lee Shaw, he knows he can't convince Kentaro otherwise, so he's just like, alright, you go to your thing, if you find help, then send help our way, and we'll head towards that light. Which is a pretty stupid idea, them splitting up. But fine, they do just that. And you know what? By the end, it actually saves their lives, so good, I guess. Alright, it's now nighttime. Kentaro, he's alone. He's alone at night during a snowstorm as well. He tries to pull out his water bottle for hydration purposes, but no surprise, the bottle is frozen solid. So Kentaro, as he's walking, he starts hearing voices, he starts hallucinating, to the point he just collapses and lies down on the floor, where we see him hallucinate May, and then, you know, we flash back to the time that they first met. Our other characters, that blue glow actually led them back to Hiroshi's tent. They're thinking, how is that possible? Are we walking in circles? And Lee is just like, you know, Titans have an effect around its area, so it probably changes, it distorts the surrounding area that we are in. Really now? Really now? But whatever. So, there's no sign of a fire. Inside the tent, they build a fire that helps May warm up. She hasn't caught frostbite yet, which is good. Also, her pants have been dried. That's really good. So, they need to stay warm. But then, uh-oh, that Titan shows back up. They try to run, but then they realize, hey, we don't need to run. Look, that Titan wasn't after us. It was after the fire. That thing is attracted to heat, which explains why it attacked the plane, because the plane was the hottest thing around at the time. And then once the plane was down, well, that's why it chased us, because we are the next warmest thing. Until Kentaro shot that flare, which distracted the beast and allowed them to escape. And that thing, consuming heat, consuming fire, was that blue glow that they saw. So what caused the blue glow the first time for them to see? Who knows? So now that they know this thing is attracted to heat, Lee comes up with a plan to use that knowledge to their advantage. But before that, alright, so with Kentaro, he hallucinates. He actually sees his father in the storm. It was a hallucination. But then the real thing that he sees is on the ground. He sees pencil shavings on the ground, which, remember, Hiroshi likes to use a knife to whittle away the pencils that he uses and leave shavings in his wake. You would think that in Alaska, it would have been long gone, it would have been buried in the snow, or even blown away in the storm, but nope, those shavings are still there after, what, maybe a year? Whatever. So Kentaro gets up, follows the pencil shavings, and as he goes, he hallucinates. He hallucinates back to the art gallery he's at, and the fact that his father is there. And Kentaro just hallucinates and tells his dad, like, you know, you told me that I was so talented. You told me I have so much potential. I did sell a couple of art pieces, though. You know, but like, I didn't want to disappoint you. I couldn't face you. But how was I supposed to know that would have been the last time I saw you? I would never have seen you again after that. But then Hiroshi turns to his son and tells him, I would not have missed it for anything. I love you so much. I'm so proud of you. And each sentence he says, it just gets more and more distorted. I don't know about Japanese culture, but have you guys seen that meme online about Shang-Chi? How his mother telling him, I'm so proud of you, my son. I love you so much. Man, the Chinese community, including me, we see that and we're just like, this is so unrealistic. Asian parents never tell their children, I love you. I'm so proud of you. That's mad unrealistic. Asian parents don't do that. So I don't know if that's the same for Japanese parents or not. But if anything, if that is the case, then yeah, you can very much tell this is a hallucination. Because Hiroshi is saying to Kentaro, his son, I've always loved you, my son. I am so proud of you. It's like, mad unrealistic. You can tell it's a hallucination. So after Kentaro's done hallucinating, he realizes that he made it to what looks like an abandoned military base in Alaska? Some sort of base. He goes in, he sees the pencil shavings there, indicating his father was there. And then he finds this device that is still on. And obviously, we see later on, he used it to contact for help. Okay, before the end of the episode, we do see during, over at Monarch HQ, they're talking with the girl who was over at Utah, who picked up those readings. And she says that readings like this, the last time we saw it, was before the incident at San Francisco. The last time we saw readings like this, it was right before G-Day. So this is a big thing. This is a big reading that they're picking up on. And then later in the episode, we see the rest of Monarch not really knowing what to do. You know, do they announce to the public that... Do they announce to the public that another attack could be imminent, causing public panic? Or do they hide it and try to control it themselves? So they don't know what to do. Until we see Tim basically just FaceTime them and kind of just give them a good talk, like, we are Monarch. We're supposed to be the people who studies crazy, powerful monsters and save the public. You know, a very simple speech like that about Monarch supposedly doing their job is what really gets Monarch's head on. Like, seriously? Anyway, so yeah, the director of Monarch, I guess, what's her name? She's going to send a research team over to Alaska to check it out. Because, did I mention yet, the girl in Utah, the reading she was picking up from Utah were coming from Alaska? At this point, whatever. It's like, damn, you know? Monarch, Tim, they got the lead that Lee Shaw has made it to Korea, but then they don't know where he is anymore. And then, oh, coincidentally, there's a reading they're picking up in Alaska. Right where they happen to be. Ain't that mad convenient? So anyways, back at Alaska, Lee has a plan. He uses whatever fuel they have left to create a ring of fire around Duho's dead body, because he always wanted to go out in a blaze of glory. So think of it as Lee doing one last favor for his brother, his best friend, or a really good friend. So as Lee is explaining his plan, basically using this ring of fire to attract this Titan, before Lee is able to finish this plan, the Titan shows up and is on the attack. So Kate and May have to run. Lee, he tries to find the lighter to light the fire to signal and lure the Titan's attention. So they're running and they see a helicopter show up. So they're trying to signal the helicopter. Lee lights the fuse, lights up the blaze, and the creature gets distracted. After a little bit of struggle, they get picked up by the helicopter where Kentaro is already in, and they get taken to safety. Kentaro tells his sister that their father is alive out there and escaped. He's alive and made it out of Alaska. How do I know? Because of the pencil shavings I found where the emergency signal thing was. So had Kentaro not left on his own, he wouldn't have been able to save the group from Alaska. Unfortunately though, during the fight, during the action, May's laptop is kind of frozen solid, so the files there, they kind of can't access it at the moment. By the time they land and arrive to wherever they are now, Tim's the one who opens the door and he's just like, Dr. Lee Shaw, it's a pleasure to finally meet you. Oh shit. Monarch now has their hands on all these characters. Relatively fine episode, you know? Once again, CGI was pretty good, especially the night scenes where it was harder to see. But hey, the day scenes were pretty good too. In a moment, I'll talk about the second episode of Wonder Man. Still pissed at my family. And they think nothing's wrong. I'm the one overreacting for being so upset. You know, given that Monarch is set in the year 2015, so the only events that have happened so far are the first Godzilla movie and Kong Skull Island. I wonder when season 2 will take place. Will it take place literally in present day after the events of all the movies that we've gotten so far? Like, that'd be a pretty big time skip, you know? You'd be saying, like, it's been 10 years since season 1. So I wonder if they're gonna set it maybe in between another movie? Like if they reference that, you know, just a couple months ago the attack in Hong Kong with Mechagodzilla happened, but nothing else after that yet. Like the events with Shimo hasn't happened yet. Anyway, so let me see. Obviously, this show, we're not going to see a lot of monsters. Like, we've seen Godzilla a handful of times, but not in present day. We saw Godzilla in the flashback to the 2014 movie, a tie-in to that moment, and we saw Godzilla in the 1950s. But I don't know if we're gonna see Godzilla in present day. Because if we do, then there's nothing referenced in the films, unless I missed it, right? There's no reference in the films that, oh, this is the second time Godzilla has appeared. The first time during 2014 G-Day, and the second time in the show. Until, you know, the next time Godzilla shows up, which would be King of the Monsters. So, yeah, I don't know if we're gonna see Godzilla in present day during the film. Because if Godzilla does, then, well, there's a whole other appearance in present day that's never referenced in the films, right? Because if Godzilla shows up and there's a big attack, a big fight that leaves a lot of damage, well, it's like, alright, the films only reference the other films, all those instances, but just coincidentally don't mention the incident in the show. And you know what else? So, even the show itself acknowledged that Lee Shaw is about, like, 90 years old now. He is very active. According to him, it's good genetics, but, like, damn, the things that we see Lee Shaw do in his 90s? Holy moly. It's like, I wouldn't be able to do that stuff now. Isn't Kurt Russell, like, in his 70s? Kurt Russell's, yeah, 74. Damn. Lee Shaw doesn't look a day over 80, you know? Given the fact that he's 90, he aged phenomenally for being 90. He doesn't look a day past 75, because he's 74. Damn, an adult Lee Shaw in his 90s looks as young as 74. Or, you know, let's say around 70 when the show was actually filming. Damn, Lee Shaw, you're 90? You look 70. I'll talk about Wonder Man in just a moment. Can you guys tell the lighting is slightly getting a bit darker? Is it off-centered? Hold on. No, looks fine to me. Alright, I just checked, so no messages, no phone call while I'm doing this right now, which is good. You would think I would be bombarded with those, because every time I do these during the day, I would. Oh, by the way, you know, I'm still on the shiny alpha female Fennekin hunt. Yeah, it's taken a while. Yesterday, I got my 4th shiny alpha phase. So I'm halfway there to odds. Ain't that nice? Do you guys think we'll get the 10th generation of Pokemon this year? I think so. Considering this year is the 30th anniversary, I don't think they're going to not drop the 10th generation for the 30th anniversary. Right now, only being February, I would assume they would drop the 10th generation around November or December, around that time period. So, like, maybe 9 more months to wait. Okay, well, let's talk about the next show, which is a second episode of Wonder Man. Not too much else to talk about regarding this show. Or at least this episode, because this episode pretty much focused on Simon filming his audition tape and sending it in. So we actually begin with a flashback to Trevor Slattery on a plane to I'm not sure where. He's talking with this woman next to him, and he's telling her about his mother, which was really nice, but by the time they land and start walking, well, Trevor is detained by the police there, and he's interrogated by none other than Cleary of the Department of damage control. I called it! It was him. It is Cleary. So they're showing him footage of when he was playing the Mandarin, which is a pretty cool callback, gotta say. And, well, Trevor hasn't finished serving his sentence yet. You know, he did go to jail, but he didn't finish serving his sentence, because remember, the Mandarin, the Rio Mandarin, broke him out. So Trevor, he hasn't finished serving his sentence yet, so he has two options. One, go back to jail and finish serving his sentence, or two, help damage control with stuff. And Trevor instantly chose option 2. So yeah, it was Cleary who told Trevor about Simon Williams, how he's super powered and a very dangerous threat. So, yeah, I called it. It was Cleary of damage control. Alright, so we see in present day, Simon, he's back at his apartment, and he's trying to film his audition tape. Which, damn, I never thought about this for an audition tape. You film yourself saying the other lines, and then you work off of that. But Simon, he just isn't getting into the vibe of it. He plays a video of one of his previous audition tapes where his girlfriend, who just left him, was in it, and they were really close. So Simon's all down about it to the point where his superpowers get, his superpowers act up. And there's just a big boom in his apartment, so he clearly can't record in there because there's bad energy, as he calls it later on. So we see Trevor and Cleary out at a restaurant talking about, what they're gonna do about Simon. And then, look, how convenient. I also gotta charge my 3DS in a moment. How convenient. Simon just texts Trevor and is like, hey, can we meet up? And then Trevor just like, I'm not gonna reply immediately, I don't want to come off like I have nothing going on. I just immediately have my phone all the time. A pretty long, silent, pretty funny sequence, but then he finally replies. And Cleary gives him a ring, a very teched out ring, where all Trevor has to do is put it onto all Trevor has to do is put it onto Simon's laptop, and he'll do the rest. So Trevor goes over to Simon's apartment, but oh no, they're not going into his apartment to do the audition tape. So instead, they go over to one of those self-recording studios, which apparently that's a thing. First time I'm hearing of this. Where you rent out a space to film. Well, at that exact moment, Trevor gets a phone call from Cleary saying oh no, we're not in his apartment. I can't put the ring on his laptop because we're not in his apartment. Okay, just keep an eye on him. So they try to record the audition tape in the film studio, in the rent film studio. And the lady working there, Marcy, she's just like, well, you should have read the waiver you just signed, because I read all the off-screen lines. So she, just like Simon, just really thinks too much about the script. So they just leave. They leave. There's also a phone call that Janelle is calling to Simon, being like, where is that damn audition tape? You gotta send me that right away so I can submit it. Alright? God damn it. So, now they got no place to go to try to film this audition tape. Well, Simon has no friends. Trevor has no friends either. But he does have one person that he can go and ask for help. So they drive all the way to what looks like Santa Monica Pier. And they go to the house of Joe Pantaleone. Pantaleona, jeez. They go to him, and it's actually the person playing himself. So they go into Joe Pantaleona's house. Pantaleona, yeah, Pantoniano, Jesus. I said his name so wrong. Joe Pantoliana. Yeah, they actually go to his place. Well, not his place, but the actor himself showed up playing himself. And, well, Trevor plans to pretty much get him to do him a favor since, according to Trevor, his leading role was stolen from him by Joe in a hospital show that they were working on together. Sounds like Trevor still has a grudge about that after all these years. So when they go, they see that Joe is living a very luxurious life. I mean, makes sense, right? Oh wait, no, now. Now is the time. Simon gets the call from Janelle. So while at Joe Pantoliano's, Jesus, sorry I'm butchering his name. While there, he gives, well, first of all, he tells Trevor, like, the reason he lost the starring role in the show they were working on together. It's because he was high, out of his mind. Trevor would show up late to set all the time. And it's just like, well, the showrunners had enough of him. And they just killed off his character. You know, they're getting ready to film Simon's audition tape. But then Joe preaches to him about, like, acting, it's a job. The moment you want more from the job, fame, attention, wealth, you're screwed. And, well, am I nuts, or was what he's saying not wrong? But whatever. So Simon tells him off like, man, that's some bullshit you just said. Your movie sucked anyways. Come on, let's get out of here, Trevor. So they were mad rude to him, to my opinion. Oh yeah, also, Simon just blurs out to Joe that, you know, Trevor is not retired from acting. In fact, he just had an audition for a Von Kovac movie. So it just kind of blurs out that Von Kovac is working on another project. Hold on, let me get the charging cord. Damn, and it was so straight too. Now I gotta unalign this. Hold on. So after they leave being very rude guests, Joe just calls someone and is just like, what is this I'm hearing of a Von Kovac movie, and why am I not part of it? So, uh-oh, the word's out. What happened to signing NDAs? Yeah, you can definitely tell it's much darker now. But not dark to the point I need to turn on a light. So they decide they really have nowhere else to go. Let's actually go back to Simon's apartment and do the audition tape there. So after this whole episode, Simon finally gets his groove, films his audition tape with Trevor providing the other lines, the off-screen lines. And supposedly, it's great. It's an amazing audition tape. So they send it in, and Simon gets up to use the bathroom, leaving his laptop right there on the table. Trevor, he's a little hesitant to take off the ring he was given and put it right onto the laptop? Because, you know, he likes Simon. He's a good guy. He's a friend to Trevor. But he does it anyways. So he puts the ring right onto Trevor's laptop. What? Trevor puts the ring right onto Simon's laptop, and it immediately starts going to work? Wait a second, I thought earlier in the episode, Cleary gave Trevor the ring and said, you put it on the laptop and I will do the rest on my end. Like, he had to manually hack in when close enough. So, the ring shouldn't immediately on its own do it, according to Cleary, but whatever. Now, luckily, the laptop was facing away from Simon, because Simon just screaming like, yo, you want to order pizza? Yo, you down for pepperoni? But Trevor, he walks up and goes to something. He sees something covered up on the wall, so he takes off the cloak, and he sees a giant gaping hole, like a big damaged crater on the wall, telling Trevor that, oh yeah, something's up with Simon. He does have some sort of power. You know, Simon is scared, like, I can explain. Trevor's just like, yeah, pepperoni. Cool, let me go order it. Luckily, you know, despite Simon walking back into the room, the laptop wasn't facing him, so he couldn't see the screen all glitched out because there was that ring on it. That's pretty much the episode. You know, just like how Simon needed to use the bathroom, so do I, so I'll be right back. After one more encounter. Okay, I'm back. That's clearly not shiny. It is now 5:30. And now we get to the part I dread the most. Schoolwork. So let's continue. I ended on slide 20 last time, because there was a lot to read here. Oh, there's so much to read. Alright, so, you know what? Let me actually turn on that light, because it is getting dark. No message about what to prepare for dinner just yet. Alright, so, other pipes. Brass. Red and yellow brass. White deposits on the exterior would indicate corrosion. Plastic piping. Polybutylene, polyethylene, CPVP. Combustible piping, common to have failure in fittings, mostly on polybutylene. Not accepted by some codes, mostly on polybutylene. High coefficient of thermal expansion, good pipe support every 3 inches, and allow for expansion. I assume that's inches. Alright, so, red brass and yellow brass. The red brass piping, which has a color very similar to copper, is superior to the yellow brass, which has a lighter yellow color. The red brass is an alloy of copper and zinc that is about... Didn't I read this already? That is about 85% copper. The yellow brass is about 65% copper. The life expectancy of red brass may be 50 to 60 years. Didn't I read this already? The life expectancy of yellow brass system may be 20 to 40 years. Didn't I read that? Did I read that yet? Okay, I just looked at it. I did read that already. The exact same paragraph was earlier. Okay, so white deposits. When you see white crystal deposits on the exterior of brass piping, this usually means the pipe is corroded on the inside and close to the end of its life. Polybutylene, or is it polybutylene? Whatever. Polybutylene, butylene, plastic supply piping. We're talking about several types of plastic supply piping. Of these, PEX and polybutylene, bracket PB, are the most common, and polyethylene is the least common. PB was used most often from the mid-1980s to the 1990s and is a controversial material. Failures of the fittings and pipe itself have been numerous enough to warrant considerable attention. Copper and brass fittings used later has reduced failure rate, although piping may still fail due to poor installation, handling, and chemical reactions with the water supply. Some plumbing codes no longer accept polybutylene as a supply piping material. Many manufacturers of PB piping have stopped production. End of sentence. Have stopped production. This material is the subject of many lawsuits, with over $1 billion paid out to pre-pipe homes and repair damage caused by leaks. More information on lawsuits can be found on the web. Recommend further evaluation from a specialist when seeing PB because it is a major concern for homeowners. Alright, polybutylene may be tough to identify. Some installations with polybutylene have copper stubs through walls and floors so that when looking at fixtures, the water distribution system looks like copper rather than polybutylene. Look for this material anywhere in the house and attic. Although it is beyond most standards, some inspectors pull the plastic frames from the washing machine supply pipe. Oh no, that's just something on my screen. I thought the letter looked off. Some inspectors pull the plastic frames from the washing machine supply pipe boxes to look at the piping, since this was a common location to have PB. This is a good reason for home inspectors to only comment on what they see and not speculate as to what might be there. Thermal expansion of plastic piping. One of the issues with plastic piping is its its high coefficient of thermal expansion. This is a fancy way of saying the pipe really wants to move a lot when you heat it up. Polyethylene wants to move the most. Polybutylene the next, and CPVC is the next after that. The trick here is to have lots of support from the plastic piping, but have them loose so the pipe can move. The supports should not abrade the pipe. Sharp-edged metal hangers may damage the plastic. The other thing that's a good idea is an offset in the pipe every 20 feet or so. We don't want long runs of straight piping because it's hard to keep up the expansion this way. An offset created by a couple of elbows creates a spot for some of the expansion to be taken up. Alright. Good pipe supports. Flexible plastic piping such as PEX and polybutylene needs very good pipe support, particularly on the hot water piping. Supports should generally be provided every 32 inches along the length of the pipe on horizontal runs. We'll talk more about the pipe support in a little bit. The notes literally said that. Alright, some sort of diagram, vent connectors, and clearances to plastic supply pipe. Whatever I'm looking at here. Combustible piping must maintain clearance from heat sources. No notes on this slide. Polybutylene pipe should be at least 18 inches from water heaters. Okay, there's a diagram of the gas water heater and where the pipe is. Polybutylene pipe crimp fitting. Okay, so this is a diagram with all the parts labeled. The crimp ring should be copper. Older aluminum crimp rings have been problematic. Barbed insert fittings should be copper or brass. Older polyacetyl plastic fittings were more likely to cause leaks at connections. After the crimp ring is installed, its diameter is checked with a special gauge to ensure that it hasn't been over-tightened or under-tightened. Earlier fittings were made of polyacetyl plastic. Brand names Celson or Celcon and Delrin were used from 1980 to 1986. These were discontinued and copper and brass fittings are used now. Crimp fittings are more questionable. Alright, here's a picture. Polybutylene piping in the basement. Okay, here's a picture of some stuff. Failure of the connectors. Polybutylene pipe, compression bracket grip fitting. Another diagram with no notes. Same arrangement on this side, compression ring, grip ring, coupling nut, polybutylene pipe. Note, grip fittings work well with both polybutylene and copper pipe. So then there's a diagram showing all of it. Compression ring, cross-section. Oh wait. The cross-section with everything labeled. Compression ring, grip ring, polybutylene pipe, coupling nut. Alright, bend radius for polybutylene pipe. So the bend radius for, the pipe going from the ceiling to the wall. What is the angle or the bend radius that it should? A bend radius of at least 12 times the diameter of the pipe will help prevent the pipe, especially the hot water piping, from collapsing at the middle of the bend. It can't be just a clean 90 degrees, according to this diagram. Supports from horizontal piping should be every 32 inches according to some. Piping through metal studs, floors, or concrete slabs should be protected with sleeves for bursting. High expansion and contraction No circular loop should be with polybutylene. Even if no problems are visible, inspectors should make client aware of the issues surrounding piping. Alright, supply piping problems. Conditions. Leaking, poor pressure / flow, rust, split / damage / crimped, poor support, cross connections, excess pressure, excess noise, combustible piping, support connections, (polybutylene), non-standard material. Alright, here's another disgusting picture of what looks like a rusted pipe with water all over at the bottom. Don't mistake leaks for sweaty pipes. Leaking pipes. Leaking supply pipes can be pretty dramatic. Because the piping is pressurized, a leak can do a lot of damage quickly. If there is no functional floor drain, a leaking supply pipe can flood a house. Causes. Pipes may leak because they are mechanically damaged, they are rusted through, they have frozen and split, connections have failed, they have been punctured with a nail or cut with a drill or saw, for example. They have worn through as a result of abrasion. Pipe fittings have failed. Implications. The big risk here is water damage to the house. Strategy. As you look at the visible supply piping in the house, you may find leaks. Dramatic leaks are usually found by homeowners and corrected right away. It's small leaks that you... Wait. It's the small leaks that you are more likely to find. There may be drips at poor connections or pinholes to galvanized steel pipes that rust over and scab themselves shut temporarily. Some leaks are concealed and you won't see them during a conventional inspection. Check the water meter. If the house has a water meter, you can ensure that all of the plumbing fixtures are off and check the water meter for movement. If you can't tell whether it's moving, or not, you can come back and check in 10 or 15 minutes and see whether the meter has moved. Another picture. Insulated copper pipes. The insulated ones are the cold water pipes, and we are attempting to reduce the condensation. More insulated copper pipe. Oh boy, there's a lot to read here. Poor pressure or flow. One of the most common problems on older homes. There are so many different causes for poor pressure or flow, difficult to be conclusive. Your job is to point out the low pressure and flow conditions. I don't know why it's already labeled 2. 2. Poor pressure or flow. This is one of the most common problems, particularly in older homes. Causes. There are many causes for poor pressure or flow. Let's look at some of the most common. Rusted galvanized steel piping, undersized and or excessive long pipe runs, a weak water source, well and pump system or poor municipal distribution grid, a practically closed valve or valves, crimped or obstructed piping, slit in the water meter, plugged aerators at faucets. Yeah, plugged aerators at faucets. Never heard of that before. Sludge in the water heater. Water softeners and or water treatment equipment. Undersized, crimped, or deteriorated water service piping. Tall homes well above the water source. Example, on hill above street. Implications. The implications are less water at each fixture than is desirable. This is most noticeable when more than one fixture is flowing. In several cases, when water fixtures on lower floors are operated, water stops coming out of the fixtures on the upper floors. Strategy. Because there are so many possible causes for poor pressure and flow, you can't always be conclusive about the source of the problem. You should be thinking about the following. And there's a lot of the following. Is the supply plumbing galvanized steel? Is the water service piping old or small? How long is the run of the water service piping? How long are the runs of the distribution piping within the house? What is the diameter of the distribution piping within the house? What kind of pressure losses resulting from elevation will be present? Bracket 3-story houses are worse than 1-story homes. Is there a water softener? Is there a water filtration or treatment equipment? Is the pressure bad throughout the home or only on the hot water system? Is the pressure bad only at 1 or 2 fixtures? Bracket aerators may be plugged. Did you verify that all valves were fully open? Is the water heater old? Is it possible that there is sludge in the water heater that is adversely affecting the pressure on the hot water side of the system? Is there water-cooled air conditioning? Is there a water-cooled air conditioner in the house? If so, the water pressure / flow may be weak when the air conditioner is running. Is there a lawn sprinkler system? Was it operating when you were testing the plumbing system? Again, this will adversely affect pressure and flow in the house. Is it a private water supply system? What is the cut in and cut out pressure of the pump? Is the pump able to build enough pressure to cut out, or is it running consecutively? Your first and most important job is to point out the low pressure and flow conditions. It's nice to be able to pinpoint the cause, but you won't always be able to do this. Alright, pipe support. So there's a graph here. Horizontal pipe support spacing. Piping material and maximum spacing of supports for horizontal piping. Copper pipe, 6 to 10 feet. Copper tubing, 6 to 10 feet. Galvanized steel, 10 to 12 feet. Rigid plastic, 3 feet or 4 feet, depending on jurisdiction. Flexible plastic, bracket PB, PE, PEX, 32 inches. Alright, poor support. Causes. Pipes may be inadequately supported because of poor original installation, or hangers have been lost as a result of careless renovation, building settlement, or hanger corrosion. Implications. The ultimate implication of improper support is leakage of the pipes. Failures usually occur at joints or connections. Strategy. You won't be able to see the vertical support for piping in most cases. You will be able to see horizontal piping supports in unfinished basements and subgrade areas, bracket crawl spaces. Where piping is run in attics in warmer climates. You will also be able to see pipe supports there, rather than anything a bunch of rules or various piping types. Rather than applying a bunch of rules for various piping types, it is often more practical simply to look for deflection of the piping. Generally speaking, this is more of an issue with plastic piping than metallic piping. Oh, there's still so much. Actually, there's not a lot left because majority of these are pictures. Hangers for copper piping. Copper pipe should be supported on brass or copper hangers. It should not be supported on nails or uninsulated steel hangers. Otherwise, localized deterioration of the pipe or hanger can occur. If steel hangers are used, wrap with insulating tape, not pipe. These are typical corrosion areas. Hangers for copper or brass pipe should be copper. Hangers for copper or brass pipe should be copper, brass, or should be wrapped so that they are electrically insulated from the copper pipe. This prevents corrosion of the hangers if they are a dissimilar metal. Alright, there's a picture with red arrows pointing to them. Wrong type of hangers. Not leaking yet, but these should be noted on your report. Oh boy, this is another slide with a lot to read. Cross connections, where supply plumbing and solid or liquid waste would come together. Cross connections are health issues. Ways to prevent cross connections: backflow, back siphonage. Cross connections. Cross connections are a possibility whether the supply plumbing and or solid or liquid waste could come together. A cross connection is a serious health issue. There is a risk of illness or death if the portable water for drinking, cooking, and washing is contaminated with waste. The standards require us to look for cross connections. Let's look at some of the places we might find them. 1. Fixtures where the faucet spout is below the overflow or flood rim of the fixture. This occurs on older bathtubs and laundry tubs, for example. 2. Fixtures where handheld showers, extendable faucets, or vegetable sprayers can be left in tubs, basins, or sinks. 3. Garden hoses left attached to a hose bib. Bib spelled B-I-B-B. 4. A toilet tank where the fill water enters at the bottom. 5. A dishwasher where the solenoid valve separates the clean water from the gray water, a term used to describe water that is no longer clean but does not include human waste. 6. A clothes washing machine with a discharge pipe in a laundry tub. 7. A water softener. 8. A humidifier connected to the supply plumbing system. 9. A lawn or fire sprinkler system. 10. A bidget where water enters the bowl at the bottom. 11. A hot water boiler. Bracket boilers are connected to the supply plumbing piping, so that makeup water can be provided to the boiler. 12. A swimming pool fill outlet that is located below the flood level of the pool. 13. A trap primer without an air gap. You may be able to come up with other examples of cross connections. This strategy to prevent or control cross connections boils down to this. We have to prevent the wastewater from getting back into the supply water. One of the simplest and most effective ways is to do this with a 1-inch air gap. If the supply device, a faucet for instance, is located above the flood rim of a basin, there is only one way the water in the basin can get back into the faucet. Another way to prevent cross connections is with an anti-siphon device, such as a vacuum breaker. This is a device that opens on low pressure and discharges wastewater rather than allowing it to flow backwards through the breaker. Okay, let me see. Oh no, oh geez, there's another slide coming up with a lot to read. Okay, let's get to slide 40. We're on slide 36. Cross connections. Cross connections can occur in fixtures where the faucet is below the high water level. An air gap is required, to prevent contaminated water from being siphoned back to the potable water supply under negative supply pressure conditions. Various other examples of cross connections. Discuss a few more. Fixtures with handheld showers, extendable faucets, vegetable sprayers, garden hoses left attached to a hose bib, toilet tank where water fills, where the fill water enters the bottom. We just read those. Backflow or back siphonage. Backflow occurs in reverse direction from that intended. Pressure is slightly lower on the potable water side than on the waste side. Back siphonage. does not need positive pressure on downstream side, dirty side. Caused by atmospheric pressure under higher than the Caused by atmospheric pressure being higher than the potable water system. Backflow and back siphonage. Backflow is a flow occurring in a reverse direction from that intended. It may be caused by either back pressure or back siphonage. Back pressure occurs when the downstream pressure is higher than the pressure in the main. This causes backflow. The pressure on the potable water side only has to be very slightly lower than the pressure on the wastewater side for the backflow to occur. Back siphonage is also a reverse flow of soiled water into potable water piping, but it doesn't need positive pressure on the downstream dirty side. Back siphonage is a specific kind of backflow caused by atmospheric pressure alone when the potable water piping system is at a lower than atmospheric pressure. A partial vacuum is needed for back siphonage. Backflow or back siphonage can be prevented by a few different arrangements on or devices. Not all devices are acceptable for all situations. Air gap. Air gaps prevent siphonage and not backflow. Atmospheric does the same. Good example of vegetable sprayer left in sink of dirty water. Always installed on the downstream side of the valve. Air gap. An air gap is just what it sounds like. The potable water pipe or faucet terminates at least 1 inch or 2 pipe diameters if there is a large number above the fixture or source of water of wastewater. This is very simple and reliable. All right, the last slide for today. Atmospheric vacuum breaker. Vacuum breakers can stop back siphonage, but not necessarily back pressure. The vacuum breaker is closed when water is flowing past it. However, when the water stops flowing and the pipe is filled with air, the vacuum breaker is open. Because the vacuum breaker opens the pipe to atmospheric pressure, a siphon can never be created in the pipe. A vegetable sprayer or extendable faucet left in a sink full of dirty dishes would be a good application for a vacuum breaker. Many authorities require handheld sprayers in bathtubs and showers to have an integral vacuum breaker. When the sprayer is turned off, you may hear a suction sound or see a few drops of water fall from the hose connection at the wall or shower arm. An atmospheric vacuum breaker is sometimes used on budgets and lawn irrigation systems as well. The atmospheric vacuum breaker is always installed on the atmospheric or downstream side of the valve. Okay, that's it for today. I'll see you guys next time. I am going to watch Iron Lung, and I will discuss it next time. See you then.